here's what I want to talk a little bit about. I'm no artist. And I want to stick with this something in there knocking at me, and I can't touch it. Right? There's something in there that's stirring me, that's keeping me dissatisfied with me, with society, with life. Brief moments of happiness followed by reality, and what I would call Groundhog Day. Right? Has everybody seen Bill Murray's Groundhog Day? Best movie of all time. So what I've drawn here is a perfectly straight line. All right, we can go now. So down here I've got, this is 2.6 million to 3 million. The earliest human ancestors, fossils that we have found are about 2.6 million years old. All right, so let's just call it 3. All right, the earliest version of the human being was around 3 million years ago. We all know the story. We migrated out of Africa, blah, 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 blah. So I could not even get this to be, what would be the word, Tiff? All right, so basically, if we go all the way up here, here I go. Let's say if that's 3 million, this would be 1.5, this would be now. All right? And it'll make sense here in a second. Our modern history is so small, I couldn't really pack it all in to express it. Has anybody ever seen a model of the solar system? Like when they'll take a basketball and then make the kids go like 2 miles away? That's what was happening this morning as I was putting this together. All right? So 2.6 million years. If we look about 500,000 years ago, all right, so Homo sapien is somewhere in this neighborhood, 160 to 200,000 years, all right? The spear is somewhere in this time frame. Now, they found chimpanzees that actually will strip down sticks, sharpen them up against rocks, and use them to kill each other and hunt with. So we know that somewhere in our deep, deep DNA is this spear technology, right? But somewhere in this neighborhood. So think, 200,000 years, 3 million. All right? And what I've drawn here is farming, as much as we can tell, they found in areas of Mesopotamia where they would start to herd hogs together. So we figure about 15 to 10,000 years ago, we started to farm. All right? About 10,000 years ago, the advent of the bow and arrow. 10,000 years, right? Between there and there. All right? And let's just look at the spear, which is right around here. Okay? Has anybody ever sharpened a stick and tried to throw it at a wild animal? How far could you accurately throw this wobbly, weird stick? They didn't have lathes, right? They couldn't make beautiful, cylindrical, perfect spear. It's not a javelin, right? How far? 30, 40 feet? Right? So, if we look at the spans of time between here, 2.6 million and let's say 160,000 years. Let's just call it 2.5 million years. All right? We know that the human being evolved in this time to increase their brain size. That took a lot of calories. It took a lot of protein. It took the ability. We had to feed this species as it evolved, right? So if the bow and arrow happened 100 and some odd thousand years later, and we got this object that can only kill something if I'm right next to it, how in the hell did this guy all the way through here get that spear in that animal to eat enough to continue to evolve the species, to increase the brain capacity to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and to change? How did it do that?
Ran him down.
Survival.
Say it.
Ran him down.
He ran him the fuck down. Sit with that for a second. He ran him down. Animals are much different. We have the ability to sweat, to moderate. We have a cooling system. Animals don't really have that. They have to pant and they have to stop. All right? For 2 point some odd million years, and even in the event of this, in a bow and arrow, we're not talking about those we got out there now with those awesome sights and things like that, right? Man ran down wild animals until they exhausted of heat stroke. Then it stuck a spear in it and ate. We ran marathons every damn day just to eat. Could you space out if you were this guy? Why?
You'd starve.
What if you had a bad day? Stay with me. I'm serious as a heart attack with this. What if you had a bad day? I mean, we have bad days, right? Come in, bitch you at me, Stuart mean to me. Stuart said I was late. Bad days, right? Could you have one?
No.
What would happen if you had a bad day?
Consequences are a little more severe.
You'd just die. What would the tribe do with you if you had more than one bad day?
They might eat you.
They'd eat you. There's truth there. There's honesty there. You have in your DNA this. And can you guys see this little orange line I drew up there?
Not really.
There's a little orange line up there. That's my timeline. And what I was trying to express here was the Industrial Revolution. Let's say circa 1900. Because shit really radically changed about that time. Life expectancy went from about 40 to 70. All right? Medicine became more popular, and we saw it through different classes. It wasn't just for rich people anymore. We saw a lot of changes happen, right? So let's just call it 100 years, all right? I have a 94-year-old uncle who is still alive and kicking. And he's got that weird memory that if you said June 3rd, 1925, oh, yes, I remember it well, I was wearing, and he'll go on and on and on. He has memory. One of his first memories, we have a family burial ground in West Virginia up on top of this mountain. He remembers going there with his father in 1921, right, on the back of a wagon, right? He saw the advent of the Model T. He was in World War II. He's seen man land on the moon, right? He's seen all the technology that's changed in our lives over the last 20 years, really, that's evolved everything so much. He's buried children. He's buried his wife of 65 years. He's the most amazing human being I've ever met in my life. And every time I'm around him, all I can do is watch. He is just so amazing. Does anybody have those greatest generation people in their lives, or have ever had? They are different, aren't they? Did they have bad days?
Well, we
They
know
did,
that
but
they
they had
had
different-
Do they have bad days? I've never seen the man not have or have a bad day. This is Great Depression survivors. They had nothing. They were in the tribe. They existed in the tribe. Sebastian Junger wrote a great book everybody should read called Tribe. And he talks about that extensively, especially related to PTSD, where many soldiers who suffer PTSD actually never saw combat. They just left the tribe. There's no tribe out there. There's nobody gives a fuck about you out there. It's all bullshit. And that's ticking at you. That's ticking at you. This is ticking at you. It's that itch you can't scratch. It is the integration of the mental, the emotional, the physical, the spiritual dimensions that we always had. But somewhere in that little orange line there, the size of a hair, it's been lost. And my uncle has it. They had it. And as they die off, it's leaving. And you see that more and more, right, in our culture, where it's just gone. We don't think that way. We don't act that way. We're just absolutely, totally disconnected, right? We got more stuff on our phone, more reasons to be distracted, right? So, I want you guys to think about this for a bit, all right? think about it later on, and just sit with what that would just be like to be in a space where it required you, life required you to be a human being. There's two separate words there. You are animal and you are something very different. And we need to express that in everything we do. And the way I practice, the way I teach, comes from martial arts. I look at everything in classic Japanese culture. It's sho, ha, and rei. Form. How do we learn to write? Cursive first, or block letters? Are my block letters different than yours? They shouldn't be.
They are.
Mine are. West Virginia. I want to add one more thing about my uncle before we move on, because that reminds me. There's pictures that I've seen of them in like the 30s and 40s. What kind of food do you think they ate when my uncle, in the 40s, 50s, Great Depression? They grew up on a farm. Think Cracker Barrel, right?
Fat, butter.
So I've seen pictures of the entire family at this point in time, and there's not one person overweight. Contrast that with the Huntington, the city I'm from, is the most obese city in America. West Virginia is the most obese state. Right? Things have changed. All right? Form, function, content. Every single thing that you do, especially in here, there's a form to it. There's a function for it. We were talking a lot about it today. What's the form? What's the function? What muscles are it working? Is it working? What's the content? What's the why? Okay? So when we start looking at how do we develop that kind of practice, all right? So in the book, I start categorically kind of going through some things, mental toolbox, right? What is in my mental toolbox? First thing I talk about is state management. What does that mean? Anybody?
Managing emotions and
You've lived with me. Come on, guys. I don't like just sitting staring. Act. What is state management?
Managing all your internal shit.
taking control of yourself. I mean, you have to know what it is to be able to manage it in your house in order.
All the above, right? So, has anybody ever thought about that? Like, what we tend to do is just kind of move into a mindset. I'm upset, and then what do? Do we sit down for a second, change it, try to alter it, or do we unleash it on everybody else like me?
Usually react first. Emotion.
And then how do you feel after that, right?
Right.
And I think we're in a world of it. I was driving behind Tiffany the other day,
I don't have road rage.
and everybody knows Nashville's gotten a little crazy, right, with traffic. And she was over here coming on Belmont and getting ready to turn like towards Music Row, and there's a bike lane on the right side. It's one of the few places in Nashville that has one.
That's it.
Well, she's in the lane, and then with her right turn signal on, and then two cars pull up in the bike lane beside her with their turn signals on. I'm like 3 cars back with the top down shouting, fucking bike lane! Right? So this guy pulls up beside her. Tiff has word with him, and then he expresses his anger towards her and
The
whatnot.
Third Reich is going to kill my children.
Third Reich is going to kill her children.
He said that to you? Holy shit.
Wow.
But these days,
Did you get out of the car?
I was behind. I didn't see it happen. But the point is, these days, right, there's that break. These days, you have those words with somebody, and it may be your last. You simply just don't know. Your ability to control your state in that place is incredibly important. What else do I talk about in there? Anybody? You got a book, bust it out. State management, first thing, the ability to control our shit. There are no bad days. There are no bad days.
Talked about bringing up what emotion you needed, or something like that.
Yes. So that's the other component of state management. Can you call on a state? Can you remember a time? Can you create a cue where you are in this place? You're angry. You're having a bad day. You're sad. Can you learn how to shift into a different kind of emotional state? It's a powerful practice. What else? Mental skill sets.
Oh, attention.
Attention. What is that, Gina? I have no clue. What are we talking about?
There you go. It's you yelling at us every morning. Where are you? Where are you, Gina?
That's right.
We're paying the bills.
Yeah. Where are you? That's what I'm saying. Where are you?
Present.
What's going on? Are you
Just
focused?
stop and breathe, you know, before you react.
Yeah. Okay. Attention.
Awareness. Situational awareness.
What is it? What's awareness?
Of what's going on around you, being able to breathe in, breathe out. It's part of the attention.
Connected.
Yeah.
Is it the same or different than attention? It's extremely different. Right? What else?
Flow.
Not yet. What's the M word?
Mindfulness.
Mindfulness. What does that mean? Because you hear it all the time, especially if you've ever picked up a meditation book. Mindfulness. It falls empty, doesn't it? Okay? What does it mean? What is mindfulness? To be full of the hamster wheel, can let your go.
Using
it all.
Stopping the conversation that's going on in your mind, too.
Now that's an impossibility.
It's really hard to do.
Okay?
Just
The
watching.
more you try to stop the rhetoric that's happening up there, the more out of control it will get. You can't do it.
It's
You
just,
simply have to be objective about it, and I'll get to how we slow it down and begin to connect a little bit more and gain some space. Mindfulness is how it feels, and objectively standing on the outside of it. It is the scientist that's putting two chemicals together in a petri dish and standing back to watch what's going to happen for the very first and last time. When is the last time you noticed yourself breathing?
I did it this morning. 'cause I
Except for
got-
right now when I just said it.
what am I about to
So when I just shifted you, right, you became mindful. Something shifted, right? And it's a sensation. How do I feel? So attention is different than awareness. Awareness is different than mindfulness. All three of these components are the central pieces to all meditative studies around the world. And they didn't talk to each other as they were doing this. Yoga is thought to be somewhere around 8,000 years old. This is the central piece. All great meditative traditions have some component of these running through them, right? Learning how to turn all those on. And then, in terms of class, how do I become attentive, let's say to the form, to my posture. So the meditative process would be attention on your posture. Awareness is expansion, increasing. Right? You're everywhere, omnipresent. And then mindfulness is in. It's all of these things. And it's a skill set. And I use the meditation practice that we wrote in Limitless. So if you guys want to start meditating, I couldn't recommend it more. Right? I continue to battle. I've had a 20-some year practice with meditation. And I go in and out. No matter how enlightened an individual might become, that resistance is always going to be there. Right? It's difficult to sit still. And then we're trying to control the voices that are inside. Don't try to control it. Just simply sit there with it. And just watch and listen. And that's what I'm asking you guys to do as you experience classes, as you experience stuff that's coming up. If you're doing nutrition with Tiff, there's levels of resistance. We've seen it in everybody. We tell everybody the same thing when they start here. Get the fuck out of your way and just do what we tell you. Battle, 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 battle. Just do it. And if you guys know me, I won't do it. I won't fight with you. If you're not committed, if you don't want to be here, then don't. That's fine. I'll wait for you. Okay? So trying to develop a mental skill set practice and then connect it with what's happening on the floor. is the easiest, best way to get us back home. To get us back home.